Hey guys, welcome back to Snack Time. My name is Ben, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at RustScan. So RustScan is a very quick way for you to do port scanning, and if you're getting into CTFs or try hack me or doing bug bounties, port scanning is going to be something you're going to be doing a lot of. RustScan is great because it doesn't require you to have the intimate knowledge of Nmap, though I definitely encourage you to learn Nmap because you can use RustScan and Nmap together. It's basically just using that same technology, just making it a little bit easier for you. If we do a quick Google search for RustScan, we'll find the GitHub page here. So we're going to be setting this up on our Kali machine, and we're going to be using Docker. So you don't have to install anything other than Docker, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But before we get into the installation process, I want to show you how you can use RustScan. You can definitely check out their GitHub page. There's some good information here, including some documentation. But I want to show you how it acts as already being set up on my environment. So I have this cool little honeypot program running on one of my other virtual machines. You can see right here. It's just called honeypot. It's an old program, not really even supported anymore, but does open up a lot of ports and allows me to see who's scanning this machine and what IP address they're coming from. So this is my my target machine that I'm going to be using for my port scanner. So if we go under our Kali machine, let's fire up our Docker and run this RustScan. And this is the command you'll be running. It's going to be a sudo docker run -it -rm, and gives the name, and here's the image that we're going to be pulling at the version number. And this right here, this is where the command starts. This is -a, and if you want to find out some of the commands you can put in here, just put help at the end of this. Type in Kali. This will give you the help for RustScan, and you can see it's very basic. The biggest things that you're going to be needing to know is the address. Obviously, if you're going to scan, a single address, multiple addresses, an entire subnet, this is where you'll specify this -a. You can specify the ports that you're looking for. If you're looking for a range, a specific range, otherwise, I think it's going to default to the 1 through 65,000. But you can be a little bit more specific, especially if you don't want to be super loud. The rest of this we're probably going to ignore for now. We're just going to let it run on its defaults. You can specify how many processes it's running at the same time. So if you are trying to be a little bit more quiet, then you can play around with these options like the U limit. But for our purposes, we don't really care how loud we are, especially with CTFs or like try hack me. They don't really care if you're being super loud. We're not actually trying to break in to anybody's environment. So let's go ahead and run this command. We're going to put our -a, and then we're going to specify the IP address of that honeypot that I have running on the other side. That's going to be, we're going to just do 192.168.3.3. And I'm going to run this. And you can see this is quickly going through and listing all of the open ports that I have running on my honeypot. Now their site says it's about 3 seconds to run a scan. It's a little slower than that, but then again, my honeypot is probably being overwhelmed right now and not able to respond very quickly. But you can see that it has listed out all of the ports that it found that were open. And for a honeypot, this is normal. This is the normal. It's going to be blasting out and responding to pretty much any port that's possible. That's what they're designed to do, but I wanted to show you how quickly it found them. If we take a look at my honeypot program over here, it's pretty much crashed because of the quickness of the scan and how loud it was. If you're trying to maintain a little bit of quiet, then it's probably not the best way of going about it without some sort of customization of the parameters. But you can see here, these are all the IP address this is one of my Kali machine, and this is all the ports that it hit, and it hit them very, very quickly. you are familiar with Nmap, you may notice that there's a little bit of familiarity here. If you scroll up, it's identifying the ports and kind of what they're used for. And this is all coming from Nmap. You can see right there too. All right, so now that I've shown you how it works, let me show you how we can install it on our own Kali machine. So if we boot up Kali, go ahead and sign in. Now we have a very large terminal window to work with. First thing that we'll want to do is to install Docker. And that is okay because there are a lot of tools that use Docker, so it's okay to leave this installed. We'll do a sudo apt update within Kali, and now let's install Docker. So we'll do a sudo apt install docker.io and -y for yes. All right, once that's done, let's go ahead and start up the Docker service. Doing sudo systemctl enable Docker. All right, and now Docker is up and running. Now, in order for us to be able to execute Docker commands without having to use sudo every single time, we can add ourselves to the Docker group. So let's do a sudo user mod space -a and then capital G Docker and $user. Once we run this, we do need to sign out, sign back in, so the changes will take effect. So we'll do this and log off. And now let's sign back in, Kali. And now we should be able to execute Docker without any sort of sudo, and we can. Now, if we hop back over to our RustScan GitHub page, we can go under the installation guide and scroll all the way down to where it references Debian/Kali. So there's a couple of different ways you can install this. You can install it with the .deb file, which installs the program onto your Kali instance, or we can use Docker. I like Docker because it's kind of a little bit more temporary, so it runs what it needs to and then just goes away. If we scroll down, I use latest. I've had trouble with Alpine. So when we keep scrolling and we look at this command right here, this is the command that we'll run in order to do a RustScan. Now, this is a little wordy. I don't feel like typing this out every single time. So what we can do is we can set up an alias, which means every single time that we run RustScan here, it's going to execute this command. So let's copy this command. Let's head over to our Kali VM and let's take this command and let's put it in Mousepad. I'll do a search for Mousepad. Mousepad's just our kind of letter text editor. And let's make this a little bit bigger. So what I want to do is I want to change a little bit. I'm going to remove this Alpine and replace it with latest. And if you decided not to do the user mod Docker group that we did and the command before this, what you will have to do is change this to have sudo in front of it. So when it runs, it'll have that sudo command, but I did. I think it's just as easy and it doesn't require you to change that part of the command. So if we copy this command, paste it into our terminal. Now, anytime we type the command RustScan, it's going to run the program for us. Now, the first time that it runs, it may take a few seconds to download the images, but after it has them, it shouldn't do this again unless there's an update. This is great. Problem is, as soon as we sign out and we sign back in, it's going to lose all of these. It's going to lose the alias. So we won't be able to type in RustScan without typing the alias command in first. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that that alias always exists. So the first thing that I need to do is I need to modify a file that essentially runs this command every single time I open this terminal window. I need to find out what shell I'm working with first. So I'm going to type in echo, then $shell, and I'm working with ZSH. This is I think the default for Kali, at least this was when I fired mine up. But if yours is bash or something, you can edit a different file for that. I think the bash file is .bashrc and the ZSH file is .zshrc. So we're going to edit that one. So I'm going to modify this file with mousepad, but instead of going through the file and open dialog, I'm just going to type in mousepad. And what I'm going to do is tilde, and that's just for your home directory. And then slash ZSHRC. And that opens that file over here. I'm going to scroll past all of these settings, and I'm going to add my alias at the very bottom of this file. Copy this, go back, and I'm going to paste it here. Now I'm going to save this file. I'm going to close it. Don't need to save this guy. All right, so I know the alias works now, but I haven't signed back out and signed in. So let's test it out. We're going to go log off. And Kali. And let's type in the RustScan. Oh, awesome. It worked. Now we don't have to worry about typing in the command, and we don't have to worry about typing in the alias and all that other fun stuff. So that pretty much concludes this video on how to get RustScan set up within Kali using Docker and kind of what its purpose is. I definitely encourage you to play around with it. I also really encourage you to learn more about Nmap, because a lot of the same commands and parameters, flags can be used on RustScan, since that's essentially what it's doing in the background. So there's a whole bunch of really cool scripts you can run with Nmap and RustScan. Definitely check that out. Other than that, I think that's pretty much about it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.